Quentin Tarantino, you sick bastard. Let's start the show.
Not twice, not right.
You know what he did? He put another record on.
You need dumb people in horror movies.
This is a movie I picked because, hey, we need war movies. I don't know any war movies. I usually don't like war movies. I say, you know what movie I always hear about? It's pretty good. Never thought to watch it. Never did see it. Inglourious Basterds. I'm going to tell you why I liked or did not like this movie. Why I'm indifferent when it comes to this movie. Let's bring in some of the co-hosts. We're going to start with the Coco.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, before the show, I was just watching the Avengers Doomsday announcement. It's still going on.
Let me bring in the next doctor before I talk about this, because this really pissed me off because they put it in our chat yesterday. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching announcements where I can just read the list after it's done. And then I go, and it's just showing a chair for 10 minutes and then showing another chair. And people are actually watching this shit.
I will say this, one of the actors was there. Guess who it was?
John Cena?
I was going to say John Cena.
Who?
Robert Downey Jr., he was there.
No, I'm sure he was there 3 times. Look, bottom line is, this was an absolute terrible way to do it, but it made money, I'm sure, because geeks and nerds, right? Geeks and nerds. But we're not here to talk about the Marvel. We're not here to talk about Avengers Doomsday, which is my favorite villain, but played by Tony Stark. Yes, I know some comic variation had stupid. Should have been somebody else. Maybe that guy from what's his name? It should have been the guy Scarecrow. What's his name?
Oh, Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy, or the other guy from
Jonathan Majors.
Definitely not, because I'm glad they got rid of his character. I didn't like his character.
We need
what's the guy? He's in the James Bond movie. The first one was with Daniel Craig. Oh God, you think I would know this?
It was
female 007. The one that was through the whole movie.
It was Jonathan Majors.
No, definitely not him. Let him go marry Megan Good.
Was he in Creed 3?
No, that's Jonathan Majors, sir.
But you keep bringing him up. You might as well put him in the movie.
No, next doctor keeps bringing him up. I'm over here talking about Inglourious Basterds. This movie set during World War II shows a group of people out in their one mission. He said it so eloquently in one of the 4 scenes in this movie is to kill Nazis, right? That's what he wanted to do. Meanwhile,
one thing only.
Meanwhile, a Jew that escaped outside the longest opening scene I've ever seen in my life.
Now on YouTube.
Yeah, a Jew that escaped decided that she wants to run a theater and kill Hitler and everybody else, and and then somebody wanted a mission report. I don't know, but let's go ahead and start off with our favorite scenes, things that we like to do. Like, I'm going to start off with you next, doctor, since I brought the Coco in first. Next, doctor.
Well, definitely.
Are
you done, or is you finished?
Are you done, or you finished? You finished, or is you done?
So, I've seen this movie a few times. Quentin Tarantino, say what you want about the man, but he makes a darn good movie. And, he's going to have some feet in there, and this one definitely has some feet in there. Almost missed it thinking about it, but yeah, there's feet in here because Quentin Tarantino. But, this was a great cast and just incredible writing is expected from Quentin Tarantino, but it was definitely well acted as well. I mean, you got, as you can see by our backgrounds, you've got the heavy hitters right here, and one of my favorite scenes, and when I watched it this time, I had to rewind it a couple times. I just love the delivery was when when Apache is giving his first speech, talking about what he's going to do. One thing only, killing Nazis. And then when he goes to, you join my regiment, you take on a debt. I want 100 Nazi scalps taken from the heads of 100 dead Nazis. And I want my scalps. That is what makes America great again. Go out there and you get yourself 100 Nazi scalps. You will make America great again. I guarantee it.
You can find them in Charlotte, along to the Capitol. They're coming to you.
Right? It's never been easier. And this again, I think there was no real downtime in this movie. I know Chris, wait for the cream. Pause. You said the opening was, long, but it still set up the movie. It showed the type of villain that you have, someone that was dedicated, someone that was determined, someone that was smart and capable of doing what he was doing, even when other people missed it. So there was one thing, and I don't know if it was, I never really looked it up to see if it was confirmed that he knew whether or not when he met her later that was really Shoshana. I think he did, because he did the milk. And I think that was the tell. You could say, kind of went with the strudel, but no, I not give her wine like he had. So I think he did. And he was like, in the talking, he's like, okay, well, maybe this will work out for my favor later, because you can tell by the way that he operates. While he is efficient, he also enjoys what he's doing. And I think he liked the game. He liked the game of toying with people and then maybe coming back for the kill later. So I think that probably what he had in mind at first. And then, of course, as we see in the movie, other things came up and he got, bigger plans. But, you just could sense the tension. You could sense the threat that he was. And with the Bastards, you could just see the joy they took in doing what they did. You we'll talk about long scenes. Dude coming out of the archway with the bat. That was a long setup with the claps. And it made sense if you think about what they were doing. They're trying to strike fear into these people because they want to get information. They've got 3 people left alive. One of them's going to be dying because he was like, yeah, I'm not telling you anything. Okay, cool. We're going to make an example out of you so we can get the information we need out of one of the 2 others. And, that setup, you can see one guy, he was just like shaking in his boots. You already knew, oh, yeah, he's talking. We go back to, Batman. We're talking about Batman before the show. That one, that's a squealer. I know a squealer when I see one. And so I think that was a great setup. Them being resourceful, kind of missed it the first few times when I was watching it with more scrutinizing eye. Them taking off the boots of the soldiers. One, it was disrespectful because they're just giving them no dignity even in death. And, hey, they're out there doing their thing. They probably need some extra boots. So, hey, maybe that's my size. I'm going to take your boots too. Plus, I think they were also taking their outfits for doing ambushes and stuff. So very resourceful. I like the way they set it all up. All of the scenes, I think they flowed nicely. Again, I don't think there was really any downtime in this movie. Everything was put in there. It made the movie go forward. And yeah, a lot of great scenes in this movie, but I think that's enough talking for me. I'll give it over to De Coco.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know me. And if there's anything that I need, is these 3. More foot, more cowbell, and more Jonathan Majors. Okay? I'm telling you, you're going to need them in there. All right. No, listen, this movie is fantastic. And we're given a tell as to who our favorite people are based on our personalities. Now, mine are up there on behind me. Chris is behind his, and the doctor has his behind his. And like I say, they're all a play on our personality. What I love though, and as I've always said, whether good or bad, I love a smart character. And each of these people display their intelligence in a different way. However, whenever you walk into a room and you believe that you're the smartest person in the room, you always have a tell. And that is, you always have to prove yourself. You feel that need. When he gives that glass of milk to Shoshana midway through the movie, that's showing that I still know who you are. You know what I mean? Whether we, the audience, know why he did that or not at the time, we don't know. When he finds the autograph from Bridget von Hammerstedt Smith, he already knows that she's lying. Him just saying it's a fresh cast, it's just to see her squirm. He has to tell everybody that he's the smartest person in the room, and that leaves a person blind to the attack that's coming by the other two people that people sleep on in this movie, who are just as intelligent, I would argue. However, they don't use theirs for self-gain or megalomaniacal exploits. Okay. I think this is one of Tarantino's best movies, probably in my top 3 or 4, depending on how you split up some movies. Can't go into that right now, of his that he's done. I love the lines. Okay. Chris started this by saying favorite scenes. Why? Because he loves these scenes. I don't care how long these scenes are, and some of them are long, but they set it up. Can we go to the beginning? I'm in the theater and I'm watching this movie, and it has that great and probably one of the best openings to any movie I've ever seen in my life. And it's a true Hitchcock opening. Okay. I don't know if you've ever heard this interview that Hitchcock did, but he says, he describes tension, and he says, okay, imagine you're in a stadium or something like that, and there's a bomb that the camera pans down to underneath the stadium, but nobody knows about it except the audience. No matter what the conversation is, what's going on above the bomb, the audience's mind keeps going back to the bomb, and their thought can only be, when does it explode? That's how you build tension. So at first, we don't know what's going on. We just see the Nazis approaching as he's chopping the wood or whatever like that. And then we see that flash of people underneath the floorboards. But Mr. Lapidite, he's keeping his calm, he's keeping his cool, and it's just building and building and building. And it's building and building in him as well, till he starts to waver in his eye line, in his eyesight. And he starts to give away his tail. And that's when Londa moves in for the kill. And everything else that he did was just set up for that. It was the cream on the strudel for him. Okay. And it was brilliant. And I loved every minute of it. And it's such a great way to introduce a character who's going to be throughout the movie, not in every scene, but you can't wait to see him again and hope that you do see him again. And so when he says au revoir, Shoshana, and then he puts a hand on the shoulder after his name is said out loud by the other characters, more than meeting Joseph Goebbels, more than being brought there by the SS officer, which we see later in that little bar in Nadine, France. It's the same officer, the Gestapo. He steals the scene, and it's just fantastically done. And that's because of the setup and the tension that they've led to the beginning, culminating into what he does in the theater with the chokeout. And then, though, well, we still got one up our sleeves, that American ingenuity of, we need to know who you are when this war is over. We're going to give you something special, okay? And that Inglourious Basterds special, they carved it right up and gave it to him. So those will be my favorite things. Exactly. Business is booming.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea what my co-hosts are talking about. The 5 scenes in this movie were long as hell, right? And normally I would be cursing myself out if I was someone else, but I'm Chris, right? But let me tell you what went wrong in my pick. 2 hours, 30 minutes, right? That's problem number 1, right? 2 hours, 30 minutes of my life that I have to waste. That's problem number 1. Here's problem number 2. I thought I streamed an English movie, right? I thought I did. I thought I could watch it at work. I thought I could do some work, listen, glance over a few times, know what's going on, be able to speak intelligent about it. No. I'm older. Okay, they're speaking German. No, damn, they're speaking German. Oh, damn, they're still speaking German. I got to pay attention to read what's going on because I don't know what the frack they're saying. I got to edit that out. I don't know what the freak they're saying. That's a problem to Chris. The 5 scenes in this movie were all 30 minutes each. 30 minutes each. I think next doctor said, "Oh, there's no downtime." 30 minutes of dialogue, man. I literally watched them talk for 17 minutes with them holding guns at each other's crotch areas, right? I literally watched that. The first scene, Hans is talking to the guy. The guy is like, "Oh, these my daughters. Go inside. Go outside. Go inside. Go outside." I'm watching people peep to the things like it's a horror movie. He's talking. He's saying, "Can I smoke? Can you smoke? Can I speak English? Can I speak French? Can I speak German? Can I speak Vulcan?" This is what I'm seeing in the first scene. I've seen him make deals with people over with coffee and security for freaking theater. I don't want the Negro there. I do want the Negro there. It's just, look, I've seen her get wooed by Mission Report, right? For her to kill him at the end. I had to take breaks during watching this movie, too. This guy, I see why he got roles after this. And he would still be doing fantastic work today on so many blockbusters if he was not in that James Bond movie he was in. My final grade is not going to be as generous as DeCoco, the Next Doctor. And I'm going to tell you more about my final grade when we come back from these messages.
There's a world beyond the one we know, where the powers of darkness fear nothing but one man. Blade.
They're no longer top of the food chain.
Our forces are ready to fight, but we need a leader.
Let me get this right. You want me to hunt them? For you? Ooh, so exciting.
Blade 2.
Call it off right now.
An American nuclear submarine went down. Your company has authorized the Navy's use of this facility for a rescue.
My people are not qualified for this.
There is something down there. Something not us. Not human. We all see what we want to see. He sees hate and fear. You have to look with better eyes than that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Those are the movies we're going to review on Thursday as well as next Tuesday. Stay with us and continue to watch us also on Wednesdays. UPRE, something for everybody, as you can see right here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Something for everybody. Stay with us. Stick to this channel. In the meantime, let's go over our final thoughts when it comes to this movie. My movie, Hans, Inglourious Basterds. We're going to start with the Next Doctor again. Next Doctor. You already gave me a spoiler earlier. I don't care. Explain why you're giving this movie a thumbs up.
Yes, it's definitely a thumbs up. Listen, I know you talk about, it's too much talking, but the dialogue makes this movie. Okay? The dialogue is what drives this. The dialogue is what makes this so fantastic. You know, all of that dialogue, as the Coco said, you know, it sets up the villain, that suspense. You know, you're not going to get that from just some action scenes and stares. You know, you've got Christoph Waltz. You don't just put him in a movie and don't use his talents of being able to deliver some dialogue. Okay, that's not what you do. So it was fantastic because of the dialogue. You know, that is what this movie is really. That's Quentin Tarantino's thing. He's going to have some dialogue. He's going to have some impactful dialogue. He's going to have some interesting dialogue. It's going to make you listen. Yes, it wasn't German.
He's going to have some racism.
That's what I say. You got say what you want about the man. You know, he's not perfect. That's for darn sure. But he definitely makes some fantastic movies, and this is one of them. And a big part of that is that dialogue. So, as you saw, thumbs up from me for Inglourious Basterds. The Coco. Your final thoughts.
For me, for the next Doctor, for Cream, remember they got garbage down the way. It's a thumbs up. Listen, all three of us think this movie is fantastic. That's why all three of us gave it a thumbs up. Why do I say that, though? I'm going to start with the last point that my co-host just brought up, okay? Not the cream and the cast rules, everything around me, okay, reference. No, I'm talking about the racism that he tried to slide into this movie. Is it racism? Let's go back to a scene. They're at that bar in Nadine, France, okay? And they're playing that, I forget the name of that game, but where they write the person or famous character, whatever that they are, on there, and they have to place the card on their forehead, okay? And so the SS officer, he's pretty sure who the character is already, okay? But Tarantino is using that character to layer in commentary in this movie about the American experience. In as much as he's talking about German history and European history and also Jewish history, he's also peppering in American history as well, okay? And you have to listen to the commentary throughout his movie to do so because he always does it, okay? And he describes, he says, would you say that my character goes to America and you're saying it's not of free will and that he comes from a place that might be exotic, let's say, and was he brought in chains and his story doesn't end up well? Oh, I know, I'm the American Negro. Now, that's not a racist statement, okay? People might take it as such, but what did that SS officer in that moment, that Gestapo officer in that moment, say that was absolutely wrong? And yet Tarantino uses it to pepper it throughout. And I can't remember if I brought this up, but the same thing is true also, just as an example, when we did the Hateful Eight, when we did our Tarantino episode, and he talks about the Lincoln Letter. And the hangman is so upset that Samuel Jackson's character lied. And he said, you people can't be trusted about anything. You lie about anything, which is an ironic thing to say to a black person, you know, and at that time especially. But he said, that letter got me on that carriage, didn't it? Because even though he knew who Samuel Jackson's character was, he wasn't going to let him on that stagecoach. But he wanted to see that letter, and that letter superseded his white race. But he didn't have a problem letting on the supposed sheriff, who he didn't know was a sheriff or not, of Red Rock, without any letter, who was also an enemy of the state and a traitor to the country. You see what I'm saying? So that joke and the lines that he peppers in throughout are just brilliant. I love that he adds that in there. And so, again, to dispel any notion that he's racist, if he is, he's no more so than any other true American, as we all know, because it's been peppered in our history from its inception and even before when we were colonies. So if we're going to point the blame, let's share some of it because we all eating out of that same pie tin. Listen, the best part of this movie, though, is the realism of language, customs, and accents, okay? Now, Tarantino always does his surrealism take in his movies and everything, especially the ending, the climax of this movie. However, what I love about this, and I think also throughout, whenever there's a food scene, it looks delicious and the people enjoy eating it. One, okay? And makes you want to get a strudel. I've never seen a strudel with so much filling inside of it. It looked delicious, okay?
You know, and I thought about that. I was like, man, how many takes did they do? Because if he
I would have been
did
messing up
take
3 times in a row just to get more strudel.
Listen, I was like, he's not going to fit in that suit.
Yeah.
That SS suit, he's not going to fit in that suit if he keeps eating these strudels. So he probably was trying to get this take in one.
Bring me another S because I need another strudel, okay? But I love that he was so accurate with the accents. And I remember when this movie was come out, he was saying that it's a big thing that always annoyed him in movies. Like whenever you see it, you know, they're either always speaking in a British accent, everybody. And I'm thinking to myself, well, there are people who come to the United States all the time. And even though they're speaking English and I can understand them, I know they're not native born. And even those who are native born, I can tell where you come from based on your accent. All countries must have that. And so I like that was just a little touch, a little nugget that he added into this movie. I was joking when I said the next doctor gave this a thumbs up, but lo and behold, he did. But Cream, I know he really loves this movie, despite what he may say later on. As for me, I need a Negro thumbs up. There we go.
Wait for it. The cream's coming.
Well, the Coco, let me go ahead and make you feel good about yourself, right? This movie was...
Oh, as you call yourself Cream, but go ahead. Make me feel good.
This movie was very well done, very well acted. I did love the lines. I thought Brad Pitt did a fantastic job. I think Christoph Waltz did an excellent job. He killed every scene he was in. I really did love the opening scene. I mean, yeah, it was long, but I really did love the opening scene. I love the suspense of it. And I kind of feel like I wish they kind of stuck with that going throughout the movie instead of going to other things. I know all of it tied in, but I just, felt like, I could have did without it. Magneto didn't have to be there. But it worked. But darn, if I'm sick of watching scenes that have to last 40 minutes of them just talking. It's kind of annoying. And this abrupt ending you have, Quentin Tarantino. Kind of annoying. It will get a thumbs up for me because it did what it needed to do, and that's keep me entertained from beginning to end. Even though I had to read, it kept me entertained from beginning to end. It did what the Batman could not do. It did where this next Superman movie could not do. It will not do. It gets a thumbs up.
A little peek behind the curtain. I don't know if you all know this, but they were supposed to be an homage to like the Tuskegee or the colored troops in this movie in the original screenplay, but it made the runtime even longer. And so he decided to cut it out. But they were going to be colored soldiers, as it were going to be part of this movie as well in a separate storyline.
I
will be interested to see how that would tie in.
Yeah. I think I remember them saying they were supposed to work with the Bastards in some way, but I don't remember that exactly, so I don't want to say that definitively.
I can't tell you how happy I was to see that theater burn down. I was like, yes, this must be the end of the movie. So, them shooting the place up, everybody dies. Hitler died the worst, I think, because he died 18 times. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, to be fair, though, Chris, it went out speaking the Kings.
Thank you so much for watching us here for Inglourious Basterds. Join us next week. I'm Wait for the Cream. That's the Coco. That's the next Doctor. We'll see you right here next time on Unpopular Review. Good night, everybody.
Gorlami.
That's how you say it. With it.
And I want my scalps.